Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. Well, when I first started to do this video, what I was going to be talking about was the fact that I wish knife companies would stop putting shields on knives. That is, traditional pattern knives. Why do they all have shields and everything? And really where this started was because of the white smooth bone knives. I really like the white smooth bone knives, and I especially like them when they do not have a shield, because then it's a really nice surface for like scrimshaw work and stuff. And so many companies, especially our good old friend Frost, Steel Warrior fan, they love to stick a shield in white smooth bone, and I just don't think it belongs there. And Case also does this all the time. Case will constantly put some kind of shield in their white smooth bone, and it's like, you're defeating the purpose of having a nice scrimshaw surface on the knife. This is the only stiletto I have in white smooth bone. It is by Frost. It's a Steel Warrior. It's only a 4-inch stiletto, and it has the German style blade as opposed to the more of the bayonet style blade. I really want a white smooth bone stiletto with the bayonet style blade, the one that is more like a spear point. But I would hate to find out that it ends up having a shield in it. Shields do not belong in white smooth bone. And then I was thinking, you know what, another place where shields don't belong is in pearl. Mother of pearl needs to be able to shine in all of its glory. But Case will often put a shield even in mother of pearl. Same again with Steel Warrior. Why are you sticking a shield in mother of pearl? It just doesn't belong there. Let the pearl shine. And then I moved on to the thought of another thing that should not have a shield in it. It was like stag. And I was thinking, I really don't like shields at all. But here you have a Case knife. It's the baby copperhead, and they wouldn't put a shield in stag. Why? Why not just let the stag sell the knife? But putting a shield in it is like, we got to definitely make sure it's a Case knife. Well, you've done that. You've got it right there on the tang stamp of the blade. You don't have to put the shield in the stag. Stag needs to just show off, and putting a shield in the stag detracts from the stag. That's just my feeling about it. It's like, why are you doing that? And then I started thinking, what other knives do I not want a shield in? And it's like, well, actually, and I was like, wait a minute. Well, I got this knife. What about this knife? Or this knife? These are a Cub Scout knife and a Boy Scout knife. Do they need to have a shield? And I started thinking, no, actually, it really belongs there. You want that shield on a Boy Scout knife. You want that shield on a Cub Scout knife. They kind of belong there. You want to have that shield, and you want to see, this is my Boy Scout knife, this is my Cub Scout knife. When it comes to like the Boy Scout knife and the Cub Scout knife, that shield is almost like a sign of pride in the knife. It's like, I got myself an official Cub Scout knife, or I've got myself an official Boy Scout knife. I don't have one of those fake ones. So at that point, it's like, yeah, that's okay. I'm all right with that. And here's the Girl Scout knife. This is what I wish a lot of these knives, like the Boy Scout knives, do. You notice the Boy Scout knife shield, it's up here. You got the blade, you open up the blade, and the shield is oriented okay and everything. But usually when the knife is closed up and you're hanging it or something, if you're hanging it from the bail, now the shield is upside down. I like what the Girl Scouts did with this. I think they should do this more with knives. Put the shield, if you got a bail on it, put the shield upside down and on the other end, so that when you're displaying the knife, the shield is upright. Because that's something I always look at with all the Victorinox knives. And that's something else. I started thinking, wait a minute, what about Swiss Army knives? You like that shield on your Swiss Army knife. And it is true. It's like I want people to know this is a Swiss Army knife. You know, it's an official Swiss or an original Swiss Army knife. This isn't like a fake or anything. It's got the proper shield and everything. So that's pretty cool. But I think it'd be cooler if the shield was over here so that when I'm hanging it, it's not upside down. But anyway, that's a different thought. But, you know, that's one of those knives, like suddenly shield is okay on a Swiss Army knife, on a Boy Scout knife. Those shields are okay. But, and then it's like, well, wait a minute, what about your picnic knives? You really like the peasant cross on these picnic knives. So maybe you don't have this thing against shields. And you were saying you don't like it in pearl, but you always talk about how you really like the Guardian Angel cross on your cracked ice toothpick. Isn't that sort of the same as like putting a shield in pearl? And so then I'm thinking, well, maybe it's more that it depends on what the shield is. Is that what I'm thinking of? Is it? Because another one that I really dig and I like is right here, a fish on a fish knife. That's pretty cool. I like that. And you've got a fish scene going on here, but you've got a fish located on a fish knife. This is the Buck Bill Lowen line. And this is a series of knives that SMKW did in conjunction with Buck and Bill Lowen, the fisherman. You know, locking blade on there and everything else. But it's like this shield was on all of those knives. So at that point, it's like not only is it a fish on a fish knife, it is a fish shield on a series of knives, and the shield kind of ties the entire series together. So maybe I'm not completely against all shields. It's just some shields I'm against, because this is another shield. I mean, I look high and low for this knife, the standard Scout shield. I really like that shield. It's on a Scout knife, and I've been wanting one of these for the longest time, and I finally found one. You know, so it's like, got one. I got my standard Scout with the standard Scout shield on there. So that was pretty cool. So it's obvious that I actually do like shields, but I don't like all shields, I guess. You know, and it's one of those things, like I'm starting to realize that I have this hatred for something that I love. It really depends entirely on the knife and the function of the knife and everything else, because I tell you what, I'm still at the point of, I don't care what Barlow knife you're making, it should not have a shield. So this Kissing Crane fails in numerous ways. First of all, you've got an abalone handle. Yeah, it's a cheap abalone, and it has got a plastic cover over it, but they stuck a shield in there. Why didn't they just, instead, they should have engraved the Kissing Cranes up on the bolster. That's the way I see a Barlow. Any kind of decoration should be in the bolster. It should not be a shield stuck in the handle. I just don't like that at all on any Barlow. And so, you know, I've got this one here. This is the Queen Barlow. I really like the Barlow, but I would have much rather had this Queen crown up here on the Barlow, on the bolster. And it should have been oriented so you had the Q here with the crown up on top of it. And that would have looked a whole lot better than screwing up a wonderful piece of stag with a shield. And because it is stag, it shouldn't have had a shield to begin with. You could have just left it with, you know, the blade edge here that says Queen Cutlery, and then the Queen USA tang stamp. No shield, because it's stag. Stag does not need a shield. You should just be proud enough that it has stag on there. I get it. You're trying to sell the knife. You want to let people know what brand it is. But when it comes to Stag, Stag should stand alone. This is another shield. This is about as plain a shield as you can get. These bar shields. And this is one of those shields that I actually am all right with, even in pearl. Even genuine mother of pearl or genuine abalone. I don't mind this type of shield, the bar shield, because this is a shield for engraving. You're supposed to be able to engrave a name or something onto that shield, so that it would be a presentation piece or something like that. Or if you bought it yourself, you could engrave your own initial or name onto the bar, so you would have it on your knife. And I think that is an exception to the rule, because then you have personalized the knife. So I like that bar shield. But other shields that are funky shapes and everything, not so much. Especially if it's here's another knife where a shield does not belong. Sodbusters do not get a shield. The original Sodbuster in black did not have a shield. Why are you putting a shield in the bone-handled Sodbusters case? Stop doing it. It's an embarrassment to the Sodbuster. I'm sorry. Case needs to stop doing this. This is not a good idea. It does nothing to add to the beauty of the knife. I don't care what shield you're sticking in there. It does not belong on a Sodbuster Junior. It's bad enough you remove the what should be on here, which is the bird's eye rivet. It should have a bird's eye rivet. It shouldn't have a shield. I like the knife otherwise. I really like the blue crandall jig bone. And the knife is great. It's nice and light. It's as light as this, slimmer. So it's a really good knife, but shield, not so much. Lack of a bird's eye rivet, that's a problem for me. But then you have this knife, this toothpick by Rough Rider. I guess you would call this the shield, and this is part of a series, and I like the way they did that. That shield adds a little bit of class to this knife, you know. And the series is the Black Widow series, so having a Black Widow in a imitation Bloody Basin Jasper stone for a shield is pretty cool, especially with the other Bloody Basin Jasper arrowheads there. The only problem with this knife was the big R, but I can live with that. And I also like this. I like Spyderco stamping their, hot stamping it right into the handle there. I don't mind that. I know some people probably do, but I'm okay with that. I like the way they did that. I shouldn't, I guess, because I was just complaining about Case putting a nickel silver shield into everything they make almost. But this one I'm okay with. And I think it's because I saw that from the beginning like that. So when it's like, this is the way they do it. This, at that point, it's like, it's okay. So if I'm okay with them doing this because this is the way they've always done it, why am I not okay with Case putting a shield on everything? Especially in Stag and stuff. They've always done it that way. I should be all right with it, but I'm not. I just ain't. I'm sorry. It's just the way it is. And I mean, let's face it. Here, this is what is this? This is whitetail cutlery. This is my favorite Congress knife of all time. It's the 6-blade Congress. Wonderful Stag handles. But let's face it. Which side looks better? This side or this side? This side or this side? Well, it's quite obvious. This side, you have the stone, you have this wonderful Stag, and it's uninterrupted by a goofy shield. And if the shield falls out, it's going to even look more silly. So if I lose that shield, man, am I out of luck. Here's this one. This is just Stag on both sides. See, isn't that much nicer looking? Just Stag on both sides. But then when you get to other knives like this, is the U.S. stamp on there important? I think so. I like that stamp. That's been there for the longest time, since at least 1957. They've been doing that. And it really made sense back when the knife was actually being used by the military and made by Camillus. I get it. Marbles continue to do that, but it needs to be stamped in there. It should not be etched. And that is something that Colonial did. They etched it in there. So here's the Colonial. See that? It's just like, it isn't even etched. It's just like a pad stamp on there. You rub your hand over it, you can't even feel it. It's just kind of stamped on there with like ink or something. And that's just wrong. I'm sorry, Colonial. I like the company, but that's just wrong. I'm not happy with that at all. Now, there were some of these made without any kind of U.S. stamped in there. I mean, you did have the United States Marine Corps ones. Those are some of the earliest ones, and those are pretty cool. I like that. You know, you see it right here. See, now that is pretty cool. And these were made back in 1944, so that even makes it even cooler. So, and you can see where the line comes from. Or, you know, they went from U.S. Marine Corps to U.S. being stamped on them. But there are also some way back then. This one is also made by Kingston. This is another one that was made back in 44 or so. And you see, there's no stamping on that, which is cool too. So I like that, but that just doesn't work. I'm sorry, you know, so those kind of things drive me nuts. But you have this is the predecessor to these knives, you know, and to this knife here. Where's the Marine Corps one? Yeah, not that one. Here we go, Marine Corps. So this was made for the United States Army. This is from like 42, 43, somewhere around there. And that's pretty cool too. So I like the metal shield into that, because you see that and you know it was made for the United States Army. The shield has a reason. The same with like this, the TL-29 shield. You see that and it's like, yeah, that's cool. You know, that's the same with like the Boy Scout and the Cub Scout shields. You know, you see those and it's like, yeah, I got the real deal. Those are really cool shields. But that's like makes you want to be kind of sad, because it's like, that's the state that we have gone to, that we're just barely making a stamp on it with like, looks like somebody took a little piece of rubber, you know, a little rubber stamp and stamped the US. It doesn't work for me. Another shield that's pretty cool. I like this one. This is in the this is a Rough Rider shield, but you see this with a lot of nautical knives. They'll put an anchor on them. I'm thinking that's an okay shield. I don't mind that. But if you were to put a stag handle on this, I don't want to see that shield on there. Even though it's a cool shield, it doesn't belong in stag, it doesn't belong in pearl, and it doesn't belong in white smooth bone. And you know what? When Rough Rider did this and they made a white smooth bone one, they didn't put the anchor on it. Kudos to Rough Rider. They made the right deal. However, you know, with the Moonshiner series, you've got a moon, a crescent moon on there. That's a pretty cool shield. It works for the series, you know, and you got the blade etch on there. So that's a cool knife. I like the Moonshiner series with the moon shield. That's a cool idea. I even like this one, even though it is in white smooth bone. And this was by US Classics. They made their bartender knives and they put a wine bottle on all of them. Well, you got a corkscrew. Why not put a wine bottle as a shield on there? And they made these knives in more than white smooth bone. They also made them in like a red jig bone, and they also had the wine bottle on it. So they did it for the whole series. But to be honest with you, I would have preferred it if they would have left the wine bottle off on the white smooth bone. Any case, what I noticed when I started looking at this, I mean, the entire purpose when I first sat down to do this was going to be, I hate shields and I wish they would stop putting shields on everything. And I was going to show some examples of knives, such as the Sodbuster, and how it should not have a shield, and how Barlows should not have a shield, and anything in Stag should not have a shield. And then I started looking and looking, and I started realizing that, man, there are a lot of knives that I have that I actually think the shields are pretty cool on. And I guess really that's what it comes down to. Maybe it comes down to, if you're going to put a shield on a knife, make sure that the shield has some kind of context to it. Because like this knife, I think the shield does nothing to add to the splendor of this knife. Matter of fact, it's a detraction. I don't care that it's a bullet-shaped shield. I'm looking at this and it's like, this is a puzzle piece knife. You're looking at something. When I saw it at the first time, when I first saw it, it's like, that is like an autism knife. This is a knife to celebrate, autism or something of that nature. And but then I'm looking at it, it's like, why is there a bullet shield on there? What in their right mind, why did they put a bullet shield on this knife? Especially considering they've got the double X on the bolster up here. So you already know it's a case knife because of the double X bolster. Why are you ruining these wonderful handles that you jigged with these puzzle pieces with a bullet shield? You know what I mean? So it's like, there are knives that sometimes you just got to look at it and say, man, we've done a really good job with that jigging. What could make it look better? And I'll tell you what, 9 times out of 10, when you've done some really excellent work, done some fantastic, some kind of novelty jigging on a knife or something like this, and you're thinking, what could make it look better? Sometimes you need to step back and think, what could make it look worse? And 9 times out of 10, the answer is going to be, oh, I know what can make it look worse. Let's put a shield in the middle of the handle. That's what happens when you look at something like this, when you look at wonderful looking Stag like this, and when you start seeing any kind of mother of pearl. Putting a shield in it usually is not going to make it look better. So don't do it. That's just my thought. In any case, I think I've rambled on enough. I'd love to hear other people's thoughts on knife shields, especially in traditional pattern knives. But where do you think? When should a knife have a shield and when should it not have a shield? And are there exceptions? Like I had with, where is it at? This knife. Normally I would say this knife should not have a shield, but the cross on here does kind of work, so I'm really happy with it. But I would also love to have one of these without a shield. And I would also, man, that's pretty, I don't know. And I always like to see the crosses, the peasant crosses on a picnic knife. Anyway, with that said, again, I will let you go, but I'm really interested in what you think. Where am I wrong? Where am I right? And what do you think of when it comes to shields on knives? a video of your top 5 knife shields. Let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with the Pious. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.